I had the ring in my pocket when she walked out the door, heels clicking, perfume lingering, a text to her ex still glowing on her lock screen. I never told her I saw it. I just smiled, kissed her on the cheek, and told her to have fun. That was the last thing I ever said to her. We'd been together for 3 years. Not the kind of whirlwind romance people write songs about, no, ours was slower, steadier, like a fire built for winter. Late-night ramen. Falling asleep with Netflix still playing. Quiet, I love yous, when the world wasn't watching. I thought that was enough. God help me, I thought I was enough. Her name was Rachel. She had this way of making people feel seen, not just heard, but noticed. She was smart, confident, a little wild but grounded, the kind of woman you could imagine building a life with and still be surprised by 20 years down the line. So I bought the ring. White gold, solitaire, classic. I kept it in the glove box for a week, waiting for the right moment. Then one Friday, I made reservations at the place where we had our first real date. Candlelight, old jazz, everything. I even practiced what I was going to say in the mirror like an idiot. But that night, she came home with different plans. I'm heading out with Jess and the girls, she said, throwing on that red dress I hadn't seen in months. The one she used to wear when she still tried. Where to? I asked. She hesitated just long enough for me to notice. Just, downtown. Probably that rooftop place. I smiled. Sounds fun. She smiled back, a fraction too wide. I kissed her cheek. That's when I saw her phone light up. One name. One message. Pick you up in 15, see. See, her ex. The one she swore she had blocked. She didn't know I saw it. I didn't ask. I just watched the door close behind her and sat there for a long time. The ring was still in my pocket. My hands were shaking, but my face was calm. I didn't cry. Not that night. Something inside me just snapped quietly. Like a bone cracking beneath the surface. I didn't rage. I didn't call. Didn't show up at the club like a jealous fool. I just sat back and let it burn. Because I knew this was the moment that would change everything. Not just between us, but within me. By midnight, I had already made the decision. She wouldn't hear from me again. No dramatic confrontation. No tear-streaked goodbye. No passive-aggressive texts or drunken voicemails. I was done playing the part of the dependable man, the one who waited, who forgave, who hoped. Instead, I vanished. The next morning, I started with the locks. New ones. Front door, back door, windows too. I packed a bag, withdrew everything from our joint account, and left my key on the kitchen table. No note. No explanation. Just the silence I knew would drive her insane. I blocked her number. Deleted every photo. Nuked my social media. Even quit my job, not because I had to, but because I knew she might look for me there. I sold my car, bought a used truck under a different name, and moved 3 states over. To the world, I disappeared. To her. I became a ghost. And in that silence, I found something I never expected, peace. But peace wasn't the goal. No, not yet. This was only the beginning. The first 48 hours felt like a hangover without the drinking. Not sadness exactly, more like static. I was walking through a life that no longer belonged to me. Familiar places, strange air. My hands moved, but my mind was somewhere else. Somewhere quiet. I didn't sleep that first night after she left for the club. Instead, I drove. No destination. Just open highway and the kind of silence you can only find between towns that exist for truck stops and forgotten diners. I pulled over just past 2 a.m. at a rest area and stared up at the sky, half hoping I'd feel something profound. But there was nothing. Just stars, some dead bugs on the windshield, and the growing awareness that I wasn't going back. I'd already changed the locks before I left. She wouldn't get in. Not with her key. Not without calling me, which, of course, she couldn't do. By then I had blocked her on everything, phone, social, email. Even mutual friends. I didn't leave breadcrumbs. I burned the whole damn trail. In the motel I stayed at that night, I sat cross-legged on a thin mattress and pulled the ring box out of my backpack. It looked ridiculous now. Small, polished, hopeful. I flipped it open and stared at the stone. What a joke. I didn't throw it away. Not yet. I sold it 3 days later, in another state. Got back most of what I paid, surprisingly. The jeweler said, "She say no." I just smiled and said, "She didn't get the chance." He didn't ask further. Over the next week, I shut down every trace of the man she used to know. I left my job. Told them I had a family emergency and wouldn't be back. I was a project manager for a logistics firm, nobody begged me to stay. I was competent, not irreplaceable. That stung more than it should have. I sold the apartment lease to a friend of a friend for cheap. Packed what mattered into 2 duffel bags and donated the rest. Clothes. Dishes. Couch. All gone. I kept the essentials, my watch, my passport, a stack of cash from the joint savings. I know how that sounds, but legally it was half mine. And morally? Let's not even go there. The hard part wasn't logistics. It was people. Texts started pouring in from friends. "Hey man, Rachel's looking for you. Is everything okay? Dude, she's freaking out." I didn't reply. Not once. Eventually the messages stopped. People got tired of the silence. Or maybe they picked a side. Let them. I had already picked mine. I moved to Oregon. Small coastal town. Quiet, damp, full of fog and fishermen. Nobody cared who you were before you got there, which made it perfect. I found a place to rent, a 1-bedroom cabin near the water with peeling paint and a fireplace that needed constant babying. It suited me. I got a job under a different name, working night shifts at a distribution center. Manual work. Nothing glamorous. But it gave me space to think. And thinking was all I seemed capable of those first few months. That's when the questions started creeping in, not about her. About me. Who the hell was I, without the life I built around her? There's a kind of identity death that comes after betrayal. You don't just grieve the person. You grieve the man you were with them, the way you looked at the world, the things you believed in, the softness you carried in your chest. You bury all of it. And in that burial, something else starts to grow. I didn't know it yet, but that version of me, the quiet one in the cabin, the man who kept his head down and his voice low, he wasn't disappearing. He was transforming. She reached out 6 weeks later. I know, because one of our old friends broke the silence. "Bro, she's losing her mind. What did you do?" I didn't answer. But I smiled. Because the worst punishment isn't yelling. It isn't confrontation. It isn't even heartbreak. It's silence. Total, unyielding, intentional silence. Let them wonder. Let her wonder. That was the plan. Not revenge. Not at first. Just, deletion. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was gone. But in the quiet, in the long months of silence and solitude, something began to shift. And that's when the real plan started forming. Not just to disappear. But to win. Time has a strange rhythm when no one's looking for you. I lived like a shadow for the first 6 months. No digital trail, no paper records beyond what was absolutely necessary. I paid rent in cash. Worked nights. Slept during the day. If I passed you on the street, you wouldn't remember my face by dinner. And that was exactly how I wanted it. But the human mind doesn't idle well. Give it too much stillness, and it starts asking hard questions. Who are you without the love you lost? What happens when the rage quiets down? What's left once revenge stops tasting sweet? The thing is, I wasn't trying to be happy. I was trying to become untouchable. It started with the gym. The one thing I could control was my body. I was never out of shape, but grief has a funny way of sharpening your edges. I'd wake up around 2 p.m., make eggs and black coffee, and then hit the rusted-out gym 2 blocks from my cabin. No mirrors. No music. Just iron and sweat and other men who didn't want to talk. I liked it that way. I didn't need therapy. I needed calluses. Then came books. Psychology. Strategy. Human behavior. I read case studies, legal articles, biographies of men who had rebuilt themselves from ash. I studied not just how people fall apart, but how they win when no one expects them to. Especially men who had been betrayed. By the 8th month, I had a routine. Gym, work, study, sleep. The discipline kept me sane, but something was missing. A direction. It wasn't enough to be a ghost. A ghost is just a memory that refuses to leave. I wanted to become a legend she would never outrun. I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted power. One night, during a late shift at the warehouse, I met a guy named Ethan. Worked in the same unit. Military vet. Smart. Quiet. Built like a fridge. We got to talking during lunch break over black coffee and vending machine trail mix. He'd been in intelligence. Knew how to disappear, and more importantly, how to watch people without being seen. You ever just burn your life down? I asked him once. He looked at me, shrugged. Yeah. Twice. That was the beginning of a strange kind of brotherhood. We never said too much, but we understood each other. Both men who'd been lied to. Both rebuilding something no one else could see. One night I told him a version of the truth, no names, just enough detail. She left, he asked. No, I said. She lied. I left. He nodded. Smart. Most guys stay. Hope it'll fix itself. You did it clean. It didn't feel clean. It will, he said. Give it time. But don't just disappear. Disappear with purpose. That stuck with me. So I made a plan. If she ever found me again, and part of me always knew she wouldn't recognize the man standing in front of her. She'd be looking for the version she discarded. The one who held doors open and bought flowers for no reason. The man who stayed up late planning proposals while she texted her ex in secret. But I'd be someone else by then. And when she realized what she lost, it would be far too late to get it back. The first step was identity. Not fake names or false documents, I wasn't running from the law. Just from the version of me that let betrayal slide under the rug. I took my middle name, started using it as my first. Changed my haircut. Grew a beard. Started dressing like a man who didn't need to impress anyone. I picked up freelance consulting gigs through a burner laptop. Word of mouth. Quiet cash. No digital signature. I bought a burner phone for emergencies. One number, written in a notebook, kept in a safe. Hers wasn't in it. By year 1, I wasn't surviving anymore. I was living. There were moments, of course, where I thought about her. Flashbacks, dreams. That red dress. Her laugh in the kitchen. The way she used to rest her head on my shoulder like we were the only two people in the world. But nostalgia is just the enemy in a silk dress. It softens the blade you should be holding tight. So I let the past rot where it belonged, behind me. Then, around month 14, something changed. A message came through to an old mutual friend. Someone I hadn't spoken to since the day I vanished. Apparently, Rachel had heard I was alive and wanted closure. Closure. That was the word she used. Like she was the victim in the story. Like she needed peace. She didn't know where I was. But she was starting to look. That's when I realized something beautiful. She wasn't over it. She thought I'd come back. That maybe, deep down, I still wanted her. She thought she had time. She was wrong. And the clock had just started ticking. 14 months. That's how long it took for her to start looking. I wasn't surprised. The silence was bound to catch up to her eventually. People like Rachel don't process loss right away, not when they believe they're the center of gravity. At first, she probably told herself I was processing. That I'd be back. That I just needed space. But silence has a way of growing teeth. One day, I got a message from an old friend, Taylor. He and I hadn't spoken in almost a year. But the message was short and clear. She's asking around. Rachel had started calling people. Friends, co-workers, even my old landlord. Telling them she was worried, that she just wanted to talk. Playing the same victim card I'd seen before, one hand on the past, the other still reaching forward, hoping I'd grab on. She never expected to be left behind. Not like that. Not without a dramatic scene or a last word. She thought there'd be a letter. A voicemail. Something. But I gave her nothing. And it was starting to eat her alive. She sent a letter to a P.O. box I hadn't used in months. I only knew because the mail service forwarded a scan. Her handwriting was the same. A little rushed. Emotional, probably. I never opened it. Why would I? What could she possibly say that would undo the night she walked out wearing the same perfume she used on dates with me, only to see her ex? She didn't get to choose how this ended. That was my privilege now. And while she was searching, I was building. I'd turned my consulting into a quiet six-figure machine, remote, clean, untraceable. Bought a modest house near the coast. Paid cash. Rebuilt my credit, my fitness, my mind. People started to know my name in rooms she couldn't even imagine entering. I'd gone from being the man waiting at a table with a ring in his pocket. To a man with nothing left to prove. That's what she didn't understand. When you betray someone who would have given you the world, you don't just lose them. You lose access to the future you were never going to earn. 2 months later, I got a text on the backup phone. Unfamiliar number. East Coast code. I think I saw you today. Was it you? I wasn't even in the same state. She was chasing ghosts now. And ghosts don't respond. A week later, I was having coffee when a woman walked in. Tall, brunette, soft voice. Enough like Rachel to freeze the moment. She approached slowly. Sorry, but, you look familiar. Did you ever live in Atlanta? I held her gaze. No, I said. Don't think so. She nodded, smiled faintly, and walked away. Whether it was her or someone she sent to test the waters, it didn't matter. She wouldn't find what she was looking for. Because the man she betrayed didn't just leave. He evolved. It happened on a Wednesday. Just after noon. The air smelled like salt and rain, typical for the Oregon coast that time of year. I was sitting outside a small cafe, laptop open, double espresso in hand. Wearing a dark sweater, clean shave, new watch. I just closed a deal that morning, 6-month consulting retainer, more than I used to make in a year. I wasn't thinking about her. Until I looked up. And there she was. Rachel. Same eyes. Same walk. But slower now. Hesitant. Her hair was longer. She looked thinner. Not unhealthy, just like someone who hadn't slept well in a while. She stood across the street for a few seconds, as if trying to convince herself it really was me. Then she crossed. I didn't move. Didn't flinch. I waited. Hey, her voice cracked. Is it, you? I blinked. Tilted my head slightly. Sorry. It's me. Rachel. I stared at her. Calm. Even. As if I were looking at someone I'd never seen before. Do I know you? Her lips parted, stunned. Like I'd slapped her without raising a hand. What? It's me. You know it's me. I think you have the wrong person, I said softly. Then I closed my laptop and stood up. Have a good day. I walked past her, slow and steady, like she was any stranger on the sidewalk. She turned to follow me, grabbing my sleeve. Please. Don't do this. I've been trying to find you for 2 years. I gently pulled my arm free. I don't know you. Tears welled up in her eyes. But I didn't stop. Didn't look back. Because the truth was, she didn't know me anymore either. That night, I sat on my back porch with a glass of whiskey and the ocean humming in the distance. No music. No phone. Just the quiet satisfaction of a man who had taken back everything, his identity, his pride, his future. I thought about the moment she realized I wasn't coming back. That I wasn't going to yell, cry, or give her closure. That she didn't get the privilege of being forgiven. She'd made her choice the night she walked into that club with her past. I made mine the moment I vanished from it. Some people want revenge. Fire. Chaos. To make the person who hurt them feel what they felt. I didn't need that. I just needed her to feel something worse. Irrelevance. It wasn't about hate. It was about silence. The kind of silence that grows in someone's chest when they realize the door will never open again. That no matter what they do, say, or feel, it's over. Not because it ended. But because you ended it. She came back the next day. Not dramatically. No tears. Just standing across the street from the coffee shop I went to every Thursday. She watched for a while, then finally crossed. This time, she didn't bother pretending it was coincidence. Can we talk? She asked. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her. She wore the same perfume. Same earrings she used to wear on nights we went out together. It was subtle, like she was trying to rewind time in small, invisible ways. But the time we shared didn't exist anymore. It had been buried and left unmarked. I closed my laptop, sipped the rest of my coffee, and stood. You've got 5 minutes. We walked in silence to a nearby park bench. She sat first. I stayed standing. I've been looking for you for a long time, she said. I thought maybe you just needed time. Space. I nodded slowly. I did. She waited for more, but I didn't give it. I don't know how to say this without sounding selfish, she said, but when you disappeared, it felt like I couldn't breathe. I kept waiting for you to call. Even when I knew I didn't deserve it. You didn't, I said simply. Her eyes glistened, but she held her composure. I know I hurt you. I know I broke everything. But I didn't expect you to vanish. You always stayed calm. You always tried. I stopped trying the night you walked out to meet your ex, I said. You were texting him while I had a ring in my pocket. Her face paled. I wasn't going to propose that night, I continued. Not after I saw the message. But it was already too late for words. You made your choice. I made mine. I didn't sleep with him, she said. I swear on everything. That night, it didn't go the way you think. I looked at her evenly. Doesn't matter. But, she started. Rachel, I said quietly. You walked out on love. You gambled with trust. That doesn't need a courtroom. That needs consequences. She looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers. I've tried to move on. I've tried to let it go. But you're still in my head. Every day. I said nothing. I just needed to see you. To know you're okay. I'm more than okay, I said. She looked up. You are. I can tell. You're stronger. Sharper. I nodded. And I didn't get there because of you. I got there in spite of you. There was a long silence. She wiped at her eye. I'm not asking to go back. I know that's gone. But I need to live with myself. And I need to know if you ever hated me. I gave it thought. Then answered honestly. No. I didn't hate you. I just stopped needing you. That hurt her more than any insult ever could. She wasn't ready for that kind of finality. You're not angry anymore, are you? No, I said. I'm indifferent. And that's worse, isn't it? She nodded, silent now. Not crying. Just processing. I glanced at my watch. 5 minutes are up. She stood slowly. You're not the same man I knew. No, I said. That man died the night you left. As I walked away, I didn't feel cold or cruel. I felt free. Because true strength isn't proving someone wrong. It's knowing they no longer have the power to affect you at all. And when they realize that, that's the moment you win. It's been 3 years now. 3 years since the night she walked out with a lie on her lips and a name from the past lighting up her phone. 3 years since I vanished from that version of life. And the truth? I don't miss it. Not the apartment. Not the routines. Not her laugh or the warmth of her side of the bed. All of that belonged to someone I used to be, a man who believed love was enough to survive betrayal. He's gone. And I don't mourn him anymore. The life I live now is quiet, but full. I wake up early. Gym. Coffee. Long walks down to the shore. I work with companies I believe in. I mentor younger guys, mostly ones who've been through something similar. They come in shattered, scared. And I help them rebuild. Not to be hard. Not to be bitter. But to be clear. Focused. Whole. Because that's the lesson. What breaks you isn't the betrayal. It's forgetting who you were before it. Rachel hasn't reached out again. She knows now. There's nothing left to say. Nothing left to recover. Some people tell me I should have let her apologize. That forgiveness brings peace. But I disagree. Peace came when I stopped needing answers. When I stopped keeping score. When I realized that disappearing wasn't running away. It was choosing myself, finally. I still have the photo from the day I almost proposed. Not of her. Of me. Taken by a stranger in the restaurant before she arrived. I was smiling, nervous, hopeful. That version of me, he still matters. Not as a warning. As a foundation. Because that man had love to give. He had loyalty. He had belief in the best of people. I didn't bury him out of shame. I just outgrew him. The last time I saw Rachel, in that park, eyes full of tears she expected me to catch, she looked like someone searching for a door that no longer existed. And that's the most painful truth of all. She didn't lose me. She lost the chance to know the man I became. Now, when I walk through this life, I don't carry ghosts. I carry lessons. The kind of lessons you learn only once, the hard way, and never forget. And the greatest of them? You don't need to destroy someone to win. You just need to become someone they'll never get the privilege of standing beside again.